You know nothing, Jon Snow.
What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Talking Thrones. Today I am with GrayArea, and we are going to be talking about Jon Snow.
Hey, it's GrayArea. Thanks, Dan, for having me on your channel. Thanks to everyone that's listening. We're going to be talking about some Jon Snow, so get ready for the juice.
Okay, Gray, the first thing I want to talk about with Jon is pretty much where we left off in season 7. The last time we saw Jon, he was on a ship with Daenerys, Tyrion, and a few other people, and they were heading to White Harbor. And the last scene with them pretty much left off with Jon and Daenerys having sex with each other. Then we saw Tyrion basically give that look of concern. So when season 8 begins, how do you think that's going to play out? Do you think Jon and Daenerys are going to keep that a secret? Or do you think Tyrion may approach them and want to have some kind of discussion about what they are doing?
I think it could go both ways. I think they could try to keep it private, but I feel like everybody that's on that ship is like in the know right now. They all already know that something is going down. I don't feel like Tyrion was the only one that knew. So, but I don't know if Tyrion's look was about, oh, this might complicate things, or was he disappointed? Did he want Daenerys? Like, I don't know what that look was about. So I don't know if he'll sit down and talk to them, like just straight go to them and say, yeah, I need to talk to you. I think he could maybe do some little sly remarks.
Do you think Tyrion would tell them to keep that on the down low and keep their relationship a secret? Or do you think he could say something else to them about it? What kind of problems it could cause?
To me, I feel like Tyrion is there as Daenerys' hand. And being Daenerys' hand, I feel like he shouldn't think that it's going to complicate things for Daenerys. If it's going to complicate things for anyone, it's going to complicate things for Jon. Because Daenerys needs allies. She needs an ally like the King in the North. So he should be grateful for that Jon and Daenerys are hooking up. Now, I don't know if that look was about them complicating things or if he promised Cersei something. So I won't even go too far into that because that's another whole subject. But I feel like Tyrion doesn't want this relationship to happen for some other reason other than it'll complicate things for Daenerys. Because he shouldn't be concerned with if it complicates things for Jon, because that's kind of Davos' job. And Tyrion should just be worried about Daenerys.
Yeah. So you think Jon and Daenerys will keep it a secret for as long as they can, or until the right time?
I don't think they're going to keep it a secret.
So you think when they get to Winterfell, they will pretty much announce it or be just public with it?
I just think that they'll just be public with it. Like, they'll just... I don't think they're going to announce it. Like, I don't think he's going to come in and be like, this is my queen. I'm going to wed her and I've bedded her. Like, I don't think he's going to say like that. But I think like it would be undeniable to the people that are looking at them two together that they're a thing.
Do you think he got her pregnant that first time they had sex?
Yes.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah, that was shoved down our throat. Like, we had 4, I think, references to Daenerys not being able to have kids, to Jon giving his sword to his son, needing an heir.
Even Jon said that Miri Mazdur was probably wrong with her prophecy.
Yeah. So she's pregnant.
Yeah, it was heavily foreshadowed all over season 7. So I'm pretty much 100% confident she is pregnant.
Yes, and I think because she's pregnant, her and Jon will definitely get married, because Jon said he will never father a bastard.
Absolutely right. Now, if they do get married, like you say, do you think they would do it in front of the Heart Tree in Winterfell?
Yes.
Yeah, that would actually be pretty nice.
Yeah, because Daenerys, she doesn't really have any gods. She said that to Jon, like, I didn't put my faith in any gods.
She put her faith in herself.
Yeah. So I definitely think it's going to be at the Heart Tree, and it's going to be at the Heart Tree at Winterfell, and it'll probably be very, very early in season 8.
Yeah, he would definitely want to do it before she gave birth, especially if Daenerys tells Jon right away that she is pregnant.
And did you notice in the last episode of season 7 when we see Rhaegar and Lyanna getting married in front of the tree? Bran is talking about Rhaegar and Lyanna. We're visually seeing them flashback from their wedding to Jon and Daenerys. And he says she loved him and he loved her. And they show Jon and Dany like
staring into each other's eyes.
Yeah. So they're priming us already for this wedding in front of a tree.
Yep, very similar, right in the Godswood. Another thing I wanted to ask you is, Bran saw the wall come down, but depending on how this timeline goes, we don't really know where Jon and Daenerys was at that point. The last scene we saw of them, they were on the boat, of course, but obviously they could have jumped time a little bit, and Jon and Daenerys could have been closer to White Harbor. They could have been at White Harbor at that point. It's hard to really say. So when season 8 begins, what do you think the first scene will be? Do you think it will be with Bran sending out word and Jon and Daenerys will find out at White Harbor when they arrive? Or do you think they will find out later as they are traveling to Winterfell? Or do you think they won't find out until they reach Winterfell?
I think they will find out while they're traveling to Winterfell. Bran can just warg a raven and get the raven to Jon very fast. Like he doesn't need to know a specific castle that Jon's going to be at. He can just warg a raven and send that raven to Jon. He already knows that Jon is on his way with Daenerys Targaryen. He told Sam that. So all he has to do is send or warg a raven and get it to Jon.
If Jon and Daenerys do find out the wall has came down and the Night King is coming south before they get to Winterfell, what do you think Jon would do? Would he try to get to Winterfell immediately to prepare some kind of defense? Or do you think he would try to gather his forces and meet the Night King in the field somewhere else before he could reach Winterfell? Or do you think he's just going to go all the way around it and Jon will have to fight him somewhere else?
I think he's going to go to Winterfell. I could tell you what's smart. What would be smart is when he gets to White Harbor to take a ship up the White Knife to Winterfell. I feel like that would be a lot faster. Or like a longboat or something. But with TV and limited time, like I feel like Jon getting a raven and all that, we might not see that. I feel like that might just be some things that we just have to explain later or think about later. I feel like when we actually turn on the TV, when the first season 8 opens up, it's going to be like a cold opening, like it was with Arya Stark killing Walder Frey and the first episode with the people beyond the wall. I think it will be Jon and Daenerys arriving at Winterfell.
Really?
However they're going to get there, they will be there.
So we won't even see White Harbor at all.
I want us to see White Harbor. I feel like we need to see White Harbor. I feel like White Harbor is important, but like everything just feels so rushed. Like realistically, I don't know if we're going to see White Harbor, even though they've mentioned it so many times. They mentioned White Harbor at least once every season.
Really?
And twice last season. Every season, twice last season. Like, but I just feel like the timeline that I feel like they're going to be there already.
Yeah, they might just skip all that travel and just get right to the point, have them showing up at Winterfell. I could see that, and that's why I've been having trouble trying to predict this first scene, judging off of the season 7 storyline, because of how one scene with that character can be at this point in the timeline, and then the next time we see them, the timeline can fast forward almost a month. So I'm wondering if Jon and them will already know about the Night King when we first see them in season 8, or will we see them arriving at White Harbor and then they receive word? That's what I'm kind of confused on, because I don't know where that first scene is going to begin.
I feel like we kind of like it's like so hard, because I feel like I don't want Jon and Daenerys to know about Viserion. Like, I want them to kind of like see it. I want them just to see another dragon in the sky
before they hear about it.
before they hear about it. There's a lot of castles that are more northern than White Harbor. So you kind of think like, how would people from White Harbor get the news? So the only people that would probably tell Jon or Daenerys about this reanimated Viserion is Bran. So hearing that from Bran, they might be like, so you're telling me you looked into the tree and turned into a raven and then you saw this dragon alive destroy the wall. So I feel like it would be more impactful to me if they saw it themselves.
Yeah, it definitely would be, because they really wouldn't see it coming. Although Jon does know the Night King can raise things, but he would still be shocked that he got that dragon out of that lake and now he has it south of the wall. So if he showed up in Winterfell and then he just all of a sudden heard a dragon screaming, then all of a sudden it comes down through the clouds like we've seen Daenerys do so many times, they'd be like, holy shit, he pulled that dragon out of that lake and now he's on it. And now he's knocking on our back door.
Definitely. And then the Night King doesn't even have to be close for you to see it and know what it is. Because I think it's in Dance of Dragons, like Daenerys sees Drogon and she knows it's Drogon, but he's just a speck. Like, he's really far away.
Yeah.
But she knows exactly what it is.
Absolutely.
So if she was that's her child. So if she was to see him from even really, really far away, she would know it's him.
Absolutely. And you'd hear him before you would even see him, and you'd just know.
Yep.
Well, I see Daenerys' dragons right over there. What the hell is that?
Yes. So yeah, I think it'd be more effective. Like, if you see it.
It definitely would be. That's why I was struggling to decide with what this first scene could be, because I kind of feel like the first scene could be with Bran sending out ravens to every territory, every land, every village, as many ravens as he possibly has, to warn them of what's coming. And then that's why I was thinking maybe Jon and Daenerys could show up at White Harbor in maybe the third scene, and by then that raven would be there. If Jon and Daenerys docked at White Harbor and were getting off the boat, that's when we could see some people at White Harbor basically running up to them like, you got to get north fast. You're not going to believe what happened.
That would even be more effective than them like getting to Winterfell and Bran telling them. That would be more effective.
It's going to be exciting, and I really can't wait to see the look on everybody's face when they see Viserion with the Night King on him. It's going to be insane. I definitely agree with that, with what you said. It would be more impactful that way. Another thing I want to talk about, when Jon shows up in Winterfell with Daenerys, how do you think all the Northern Lords and even Jon's family will treat them? Will they accept Daenerys immediately? And would they accept Jon if they realize or know that he's in a relationship with Daenerys? And do you think any of Jon's banners could possibly abandon him for already forming this alliance with Daenerys, and they might even possibly find out he said he was going to bend the knee to her? How do you think they're going to react to all that?
Arya, she's gonna be with Jon. Arya is well traveled. She's been around. She's gonna roll with Jon no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
She loves Jon. Nothing can make her turn on Jon. She was ready to kill Sansa. So Arya is team Jon 100%. Bran is gonna do what's best to defeat the Night King. If Jon being with Daenerys is best to defeat the Night King, Bran's gonna be with team Jon and Dany. Sansa, I'm not sure. Like, I don't think she's gonna be with it at all.
I don't either. I think she's going to have a problem with Daenerys, at least at first. And I think Jon Royce and maybe the rest of the Vale might have a problem with her too.
They won't be with it. That was foreshadowed in season 7. They're anti-Targaryen. Then you also have to think about people that went south with Brandon Stark that got killed during the reign of the Mad King. Because it wasn't just Brandon Stark and Rickard Stark, or yeah, it wasn't just Brandon Stark and Rickard Stark. They took people with them too, and then a lot of people rode south and fought in Robert's Rebellion and never came home. So when they show you like the Red Wedding, the people in the North that don't even fool with the Starks, they never will fool with the Freys
Yeah.
because of the Red Wedding. So those type of bad blood relationships are going to be there. One person I do think that is going to stay pro Jon is Lyanna Mormont. Not only does she really fool with Jon, but Daenerys has her uncle with him, Jorah. Jorah will be there. He's a Mormont, so that might help things in that department. But I do feel like a lot of people are not gonna be so dragon friendly, and they're gonna be pissed off because they've crowned him king in the North, and he gave up his crown and bent the knee to Daenerys.
Yeah, and I can even see Jon Royce wanting to leave and take the Vale with him and just go back to the Eyrie and wait out the winter. Because we even heard a man from the Vale say, "Why don't we just go back to our castles and wait out the storm?" And when Jon shows up with this Targaryen queen who he bent the knee to, I could see them being like, "We're out of here."
Yep, and I can see him asking Sansa to go with him.
That's possible. What do you think she would say to that?
Um, I'm not sure, but I think that she might go.
I really see Sansa having a problem with this to a point to where it's going to cause some tension at a time to when they don't need this kind of tension. And Jon even tried to remind Sansa in season 7 when she was talking about having to deal with Cersei and the army or the war in the South. Jon's like, "You don't know what's coming from the North. You haven't seen it. This needs to be our focus." And I think Sansa could still be having that kind of mentality. Hopefully that's when Bran can hopefully chime in and say, "Sansa, you don't know what I've seen. Everything that Jon says is the truth. We need Daenerys and her dragons if you want to survive."
I agree. I agree with that because, like you say, all right, you have to see it. Daenerys said that, but you have to see it to believe it. When Jon was all healing and recovery on the ship, she said, he was like, "I'm sorry that we went," and she was like, "I'm not. You have to see it."
Yeah, she said, "I needed to see it. I needed to know."
And Jon is always saying that, like, none of you have seen it. I've seen it. I feel like it's going to be a split, like 50% of the people that he has right now is going to dip.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like we could see a conversation with Tyrion about that look that he gave Jon and Daenerys when he knew they were having sex. And that's another reason why I feel like we could see Jon and Daenerys decide to keep their physical relationship a secret, because I think they're going to know there will be some tension in the North when they arrive, especially side by side. And Jon's not going to lie and say that he didn't bend the knee to her and that he doesn't support her. Jon's going to tell them that. So I think they might want to keep that on the down low for as long as possible. But then again, I don't know. Jon, you know the type of guy that Jon is. He's not the one to kind of keep stuff to himself and not tell at least his family everything that's going on.
Yeah, and I remember their conversation where she was like, I hope I deserve it, or what about the people you promised things to, or I forget how she worded it, but he said they'll eventually come to see you for what you are.
Yeah, and hopefully it's not too late. Hopefully they don't wait until the Night King is at the back door.
Right, because he said eventually. He didn't say they will if their king does. He said eventually they'll see you for what you are.
Yeah, so that pretty much means they won't at first, but they're going to have to. They're going to have to accept it. And once they see the threat for themselves, they will know how desperately they need those dragons. They need those Dothraki men. They need the Unsullied. They need Daenerys just as much as Daenerys needs Jon and his experience. And now Bran. They need Bran. Daenerys needs Bran too. She doesn't know it yet. She doesn't know what Bran can provide for them, but when they all arrive in Winterfell, they're gonna figure that out.
Yeah. But yes, Sansa is the wild card, and Arya is definitely gonna be all for it. She's not gonna care either way.
So after Jon arrives in Winterfell and he finally sees his family again after all these years, when do you think Bran is going to break that news to Jon and tell him about his parentage?
It's so hard because there's only 6 episodes, and you don't know how much time is going to be spent on the Night King and how much time is going to be spent dealing with Cersei.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say that it's going to be after the battle with the Night King, because Jon doesn't need to be distracted from what he needs to do unless Jon's parentage is important to what he needs to do.
Yeah, Jon needs to know about his ice and fire components to beat the Night King.
Yes. So if that's important, then I think Bran will tell him. Will Jon believe it?
I think he will be in denial for at least that episode.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna believe it at first. I think he may be like really sullen and brood over it. Like, Jon told Theon, "You're Greyjoy and you're Stark," and Jon is gonna have to take those words. What Jon told Theon is gonna be what Bran tells Jon.
I definitely think that conversation Jon had with Theon was a foreshadowing for Jon having to come to terms with himself about being Stark and Targaryen, just like you said. And I think Samwell Tarly will help kind of reinforce that with who Jon really is, and he will also be needed for Jon to accept that he is a Targaryen and Ned was not his father.
Yeah, and I think that was, I swear I think that was a foreshadowing. Like, I'm almost willing to put money on that.
Absolutely. What do you think his other family members will think about this? How will Sansa and Arya react to that news about Jon, who they thought was their brother this whole time, is actually not their brother? And not only is he not their brother, he is the true heir to the Iron Throne. He's a Targaryen, that same Targaryen blood that Sansa does not like.